If you believe that the current state of the regulations on Wall Street coming out of the Great Recession are weak sauce, then wait until you get a load of a potential Donald Trump presidency, because he has announced that he would do away with even the little bits and pieces of regulations that we got after the greatest recession of literally decades in American history. He said to Reuters, "I would say it'll be close to a dismantling of Dodd-Frank. Dodd-Frank is a very negative force which has developed a very bad name." Look, we have criticized Dodd-Frank in a number of different ways and will continue to do so. Not because it is itself bad, but because it doesn't go far enough. The idea that we would even get rid of the little regulation that we got coming out of what happened in 2007, 2008, that's the ramblings of a madman. And that madman here is Donald Trump. So just really fast, we can't go in depth into all of the different aspects of Dodd-Frank, of what it has actually accomplished while not going far enough, but we do want to give you some bullet points. It added the ability to regulate financial firms regardless of their corporate firm. There used to be all of this shenanigans with saying that we're really an investment bank, no, we're really a conglomerate, no, we're really this. That took away that ability. Providing the government with the tools to deal with a failing firm in a financial crisis. We actually have the ability, even theoretically, to break up the banks. We did not have the ability before. Dodd-Frank did add that, although it's not doing enough to actually put it into effect. Exactly. Strengthening the capital requirements and supervision and oversight of the largest firms. This is literally what makes a firm too big to fail, is not having enough capital in the case of disaster. This raises those requirements, especially for a particular class of the largest and most systemically important banks. That raises that requirement. It establishes a Financial Stability Oversight Council and an Office of Financial Research. Also, you might remember the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has been great. It's given hundreds of millions of dollars to consumers who have been wronged by banks and stuff like that. It took away, for instance, one example that used to hound me nearly every day was overdraft fees. This is how we got rid of those as well. Mm-hmm. It also, by the way, has moved derivative trading, one of the things that contributed to the collapse, from the shadows out into transparent markets. It hasn't done enough in that regard, but at least we can actually see and track them now. It's not enough in 100 different ways, and we have specific suggestions that we would make to make it stronger. But the idea that you would go back on this, that it took a recession to get even this, and he would take that away, that is utter madness. And there's electoral consequences of that as well, which we'll get to in just a second. But what's your reaction?
So if he actually follows through with this and is actually devoted to repealing Dodd-Frank, it would easily pass, especially with the Republicans controlling Congress. However, I do want to say that when it comes to our financial meltdown, our economic meltdown of 2008, there was a misconception that the subprime mortgages that were being given out were from the big banks. And yes, some of the big banks did absolutely give out those subprime mortgages, and Dodd-Frank attempted to mitigate that to some extent, right? But in reality, a lot of the smaller banks that are not regulated under Dodd-Frank were doing that, and they continue to do that, which is why you're seeing a housing bubble throughout the country, especially in major cities like Los Angeles. I'm waiting for that housing bubble to burst, which it absolutely will, so I can get in there and buy a house myself. I'm not even kidding you right now. I follow the housing market like a hawk, okay? But with that said, like, I get what you're saying. It would be bad if he repealed Dodd-Frank, because at least we have some regulation in place. At least we have some consumer protection in place. I don't think it would be the end of the world. I don't think that this regulation was really that great to begin with.
Well, look, I think you make a good point in differentiating between the big investment banks and some things like statewide and stuff like that. Some of their, no, not statewide. It sounds like statewide. Look it up. It fell apart, actually, so you can't look it up. It doesn't exist anymore. But that was primarily involved in the housing bubble. I mean, the thing is, we're worried about other bubbles, too,
right,
that aren't exactly like that, that this does add some oversight on. But in the short term, the reason I want to talk about this, because who knows if it'll even, as you say, he flip-flops, who knows if it'll even be in his economic plan that he's going to unveil in a couple of weeks. It's that we worried that he's such a savvy campaigner. He took down 35 other Republican candidates to make it to this point, and he's a wild card, and he's going to be able to attack Hillary Clinton from angles that other Republican candidates couldn't. And yet, in the past couple days, he has thrown away, in my view, at least in a couple of quotes, so many of the advantages that he had in saying that he's going to start to fundraise off of the richest individuals and corporations in the country, Well, you can easily throw that into an ad, and that's going to take away people's confidence in his "I've funded my own campaigns" argument that he always tries to put forth. He was going to be able to easily attack Hillary Clinton as being too tight with Wall Street and being willing to do their bidding. And now he just said that he's going to dismantle even the limited bits of regulation that we have on Wall Street right now. He has moved more towards Wall Street than Hillary Clinton has. Perhaps not in actual action, but certainly in intended action.
I know.
He's stupid. He's stupid. He doesn't even know what advantages he has.
You're right about him being stupid, and you're right that if he starts fundraising using big corporate donors like Hillary Clinton does, it's likely that she will attack him for that. But also, I mean, think about those attack ads. Like, guess what? Donald Trump getting major campaign donations from corporations, just like me. I
Yes,
mean,
well, that's what she did with Obama in the primary. She's like, oh, you think I'm bad? Well, I don't know. She still got a lot of votes, unfortunately.
It didn't work. She's known
Well, she's
for her
in the
political
process of
corruption.
possibly winning the nomination.
Right. I mean, yeah, because she played dirty politics during the primaries.
I understand. It
and
makes her
totally
look bad,
steamrolled
too.
Bernie Sanders, who was unwilling to play dirty politics. So.
But what if you're running against someone that's revealed that, like, you've always been hampered by the fact that you're a known pedophile, and then it turns out that they're a pedophile? At least you've neutralized one of your weaknesses there.
I guess.
She's not a pedophile, by the way. So far as I know. Anyway, now I will give him credit for one thing. He's still stupid, but if you combine the two things that I referenced, him saying that he's going to try to raise money from big corporations and him saying that he's going to try to remove regulation from Wall Street, it's probably going to help him fundraise from Wall Street. That's certainly the case. So I'll give him credit on that at the very least. But I do think that, man, Hillary Clinton is savage and brutal, and she will throw all of this shit into ads. She's already running brutal ads against him, mostly on his quotes about women. But she's going to get to the other issues. And they're mostly, like, for the most part, she's fine with lying. But here, he's teeing up quotes to throw into those ads. And it is going to undercut his everyman image that he's tried to put forward. And it's worked with the Republican primary voters. But regular election voters are not, they're still crazy. They're not as crazy. They're not as clueless as committed Republican primary voters.